The second job of the National AIDS Council is to track performance against the Millennium Development Goals. And one of those documents that's been produced by the Monitoring and Evaluation team at NAC is the National Monitoring, Research and Evaluation Plan, which actually details the targets or the volumes of things that have to happen to meet the Millennium Development Goals. The current way that NAC tracks its performance against those targets is by using the National AIDS Reporting Form, or the NARF. The other component of this system is that we can submit those NARF forms now online directly to NAC. So that's what I'll give you a demonstration of today. So if we log in again with our Livingston user, and we go to this option up here, the Submit New NARF. Basically, we've got a way of submitting a NARF directly to NAC, and so this would not need the paper-based approaches, and we wouldn't need to ship paper all over the country. So if we start by selecting the reporting period that we're interested in, I'm going to select period to 2011. We say for Southern Province, Livingston District. What it does is it gives us a list of all of the organisations that belong to this user. And so if I went to organisation administration, I would see all of these organisations that are working within Livingston District. So the difference here is we're actually submitting a NARF based at an organisational level, whereas currently NACMIS uses the lowest level that you can see is at a district level, and this will take it one level down so we can actually see how well individual organisations are performing. So I'm going to select Corridors of Hope 3 and we'll click Next. You can see that I've already, in testing, I've submitted a NARF for this period for this organisation, and so basically we don't want to submit one twice. So I'm going to select a different organisation, one that we haven't done. So I'll select Network for Zambian People Living with HIV/AIDS, or NZP+, and we'll click Next. So what that was doing is making sure that we're not duplicating our NARF data. And so what you get is a form that's very much the same as the current existing paper NARF. All of the questions have been taken from there. If someone needs help as to, for example, the number of IEC materials printed, they can hover on it and you can see it's the number of information, education and communication materials printed in that period, and the value must be numeric. Also, what this system does is it validates data. So if I put a letter in there, which is not a numeric value, obviously, and click Next, it will actually validate that data and say, sorry, the value must be numeric. And so to be able to submit this NARF, you have to pass these validation checks. And we know that IEC materials printed would be a numeric value, so we put 10, for example. What we'll also do is we'll put a value in condoms as well. Let's put 900. Okay. We'll click Next. And this will just step through the multiple pages of the NARF. You can see we're up to question 16. The key difference here is that in the existing NARF you have a previous, a current and a new field. Really the system does away with that and has just the current value, because if we know the current value this quarter and we know the current value last quarter, we already know the previous value, we can calculate the new value and we can make the current value from this data. The other option is that we can use slightly smarter fields such as true or false or yes or no questions. So in this example, is this organisation receiving funding or technical assistance to provide care and support to OVCs? That's only a yes or no question, and this system will really restrict you down to that. And we'll click Next. We're on the last page and the Submit button becomes active. And so if we click Submit now, what that's doing is actually writing all of that data to the database. And we can see we're on the screen that says View Submitted NARF Forms. We can see all of the NARFs that have been submitted. And if we want, we can see that we just submitted a period 2 report NAF for Southern Province, Livingston District, Network of Zambian People. And perhaps we've made a mistake. So if we open that one up, and we think we made a mistake maybe with the male condoms, there's the 900 value that we inserted before, and maybe that's actually supposed to be 1000. And so now we can step through and we can submit this form. And so immediately that value has been updated, and anyone that's accessing this information would get the new value. Where this is an improvement over the NACMIS is that data is instantaneous. So where at the moment we have multiple copies of NACMIS floating around the country, this system will ensure that you've only got one accurate set of data in only one place. And so it makes the management of information much easier. Okay, so once we've submitted this data, we need a way of actually translating this into really behavior change for these organizations. And fortunately, because all of this work has been done on the National Monitoring, Research and Evaluation Plan, we have targets in there. And so really what a data meeting should be about is saying, here's what actually happened against a target, and from that, decisions need to be made. And so one way of doing that is by graphing or charting. And so this option here on the left is National AIDS Council Charts. And if we click that one, and we define the period that we're interested in. And so we've selected from period 1, 2010, to period 2, 2011, and we click Go. What we get are live dynamic graphs. And what I mean by that is, based on the information that we've selected, we're actually graphing this data in real time. So for example, if we'd left that condom number for NZP at 900, we would be able to see the 900 data here. As we change it to 1000, we can immediately see what impact that's had. The way to interpret this graph is we can see there's two lines, the dark blue line and the light blue line. The dark blue line is the target, and in this case the measure that we're interested in is male condom distribution. This dark line has been taken based on the National Monitoring, Research and Evaluation Plan targets, and so basically we're saying from from quarter 1 2010 we should have been distributing 11.7 million condoms per quarter for us to meet our Millennium Development Goal targets. And of course, because these targets are set to raise over time, this line is on an upward gradient. And so, to meet the Millennium Development Goals, we've changed from a target of 11.7 million condoms per quarter. At this stage, we should be distributing 13.7 million condoms across the whole of Zambia. And of course, this will continue all the way up on that same gradient until 2015. The light blue line represents the actuals, so the sum of the numbers of condoms that have actually been distributed by our partner organisations. And you can see that at the moment